Hi, my name is Robin.
And my name is Cassandra, and today we will be presenting a paper on the valuation of air pollution externalities.
First, we will relate our article titled The Valuation of Air Pollution Externalities, Comparative Analysis of Economic Damage and Emission Reduction under COVID-19 Lockdown to this week's Chapter 3 readings on pollution and resource degradation. Chapter 3 examines the tragedy of the commons, a notion first introduced by Garrett Hardin that stipulates how resources held in common are consistently overused because the benefits are felt individually, but the costs are felt collectively. Air pollution is a symptom of the tragedy of commons because there is strong incentive for individuals and companies to pollute, as the costs are borne by society and not felt directly by the polluter. Air pollution has many negative externalities, such as resource degradation and damaging short-term health effects. Next, we will give a short synopsis of the paper. This paper examines the monetary impact of pollution and its externalities, which were made clear by the COVID-19 lockdowns. Since the COVID-19 pandemic forced businesses to pause operations, this greatly reduced the amount of pollution being emitted into the air, as businesses were no longer able to act in their self-interest and pollute. By comparing the decreased air pollution levels caused by the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020 to the pre-lockdown pollution levels in 2019, this paper can isolate and compare the health effects and benefits to the economic losses, both of which are associated with the COVID-19 lockdowns and decreased pollution level.
With air pollution, there comes many negative externalities. Air pollution poses many health risks, including morbidity and mortality. The levels of air pollution faced a major reduction due to the lockdowns amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. This paper quantifies the decline in health impacts from a pollution reduction during the lockdown in a monetary fashion. The study presented in this paper considers the differences in pollutants during lockdowns versus a normal time period in Delhi, London, Paris, and Wuhan. The variables being considered include the pollutants in the value of statistical life, cost of illness, and per capita income. Furthermore, this paper compares the reduction in health issues from decreased pollution to economic challenges. Development is known to harm ecosystems of the world in many ways. One notable example is through pollutant emissions from anthropogenic activities. Some anthropogenic activities are transportation, industrial processes, mining, and burning of waste and biomass. The severe health effects rooted in pollution are one of the leading causes for mortality, with the loss of 7 million lives annually. With the lockdowns put in place from the pandemic, many industries had to shut down and a major decrease in vehicular traffic was evident. With this in place, the concentration of pollutants decreased in line with these restrictions.
Next, we will look at the methodology of analysis used in this paper. This study uses the population of 4 cities, as Cassandra already mentioned, Delhi, London, Paris, and Wuhan, to determine the extent of the health damages caused by air pollution in each particular city. The study first examines the air quality, measured in terms of the amount of inhalable particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, and sulfur dioxide in the air of each city. It then compares each city's level of pollution from 2019 to the city's level of pollution from 2020 during each city's respective lockdown. Then the study examines the number of people affected by mortality and morbidity caused by the exposure of harmful pollutants. The study then calculates the monetary burden of health risks by using the methods of VSL, value of statistical life, COI, cost of illness, and daily years of life lost. For this analysis, the native currencies are converted to USD. The valuation of mortality is done using VSL. The formula for evaluating the monetary damages of mortality is VSL times estimated number of cases times exchange rate times inflation rate. VSL is calculated using assessments on either labor wages or insurance settlements. The valuation of morbidity is then done by adding the cost of illness, COI, and the years of life lost daily, which gives the morbidity-related damage assessment. Morbidity loss daily is calculated using daily times per capita income times estimated number of cases times exchange rate times the inflation rate. Daily is taken from the World Health Organization database. Morbidity damages, COI, is calculated using COI times the estimated number of cases times the exchange rate times the inflation rate. COI includes medical costs, travel costs, hospital admissions, and lost days of work.
To better understand the implications of the reduction of pollution through the pandemic's lockdown with an economic lens, it is crucial to compare and weigh people's health versus the state of a city's economy.
For the results and discussion, in each city examined, air pollution was significantly reduced during the COVID-19 lockdowns because of the limited transportation and industrial output, as Cassandra mentioned. For example, the nitrogen dioxide concentration levels in each city during the 2020 COVID-19 lockdowns were at acceptable levels defined by the World Health Organization. However, the nitrogen dioxide concentration levels in each city during 2019 were not deemed acceptable by the World Health Organization. In order to qualify the monetary effects of the air pollution in both cases, the author followed an impact pathway approach, which calculates the monetary effects using the aforementioned equation. It was found that the level of inhalable particulate matter was the most damaging parameter affecting people's health. The authors also showcased that Delhi experienced the greatest benefit from the reduction in pollution caused by the COVID-19 lockdowns, with a 38% decrease in overall morbidity damages. Paris was also able to reduce their morbidity damages by almost 35%, with London and Wuhan reducing their morbidity damages by almost 20%. While there was still millions of morbidity damages during the COVID-19 lockdowns caused by pollution, the lockdowns greatly reduced air pollution, thereby saving millions in overall morbidity damages in each country.
As Robin previously explained the equations in the methodology section, we can use those to better understand the meaning in these results. So the cost of illness, the COI, calculations included the treatment's expenditures, which are the outpatient and inpatient costs. Furthermore, consideration is included for individuals suffering from air pollution-related conditions being less able to function in a way that contributes to the economy. Per capita income was used as a substitution to measure the individuals affected as well as the years of life lost, valued at the annual income of an individual, respective to the various diseases. Using VSL to estimate the mortality valuation, it is noted that Delhi yields the greatest benefits with a 49% reduction in damages, then Paris with a 39% reduction, London with a 29% reduction, and lastly, Wuhan with a 26% reduction. When calculating for the economic damages, the GDP of the country was used with the ratio of GDPs to each city being considered. So Delhi faced an economic damage worth $5.36 billion US dollars, London losing $18.60 billion, Paris losing $51.81 billion US dollars, and Wuhan having the smallest loss of $0.53 billion. Lastly, the differences in damage of air pollution between the years of 2019 and 2020 demonstrated a drastic reduction in each city. Delhi demonstrated the highest prevention of air pollution damages, and Wuhan having the lowest. However, when considering the economic damages in comparison to the prevention of air pollution-related illnesses, Wuhan yielded the highest benefits, and Paris yielded the least. This was calculated through damage prevented per unit of economic damage. So we can see that Wuhan has a benefit of 1.85, Delhi with 1.19, London with 0.11, and Paris with 0.03. It is important to consider the fact that Wuhan and Delhi both had greater amounts of pollution in the past, and they also are less economically developed cities than London and Paris. So those factors definitely play a major role in these results. This study highlights a positive outcome during a time where the entire world faced major economic turbulence. The findings in this study presents environmental benefits throughout the pandemic despite major world issues such as economic recession, with a monetary calculation of health benefits through econometrics, which is the VSL, COI, and PCI for Delhi. Using these econometrics methods, findings revealed that PM is a major contributor to air pollution-related diseases. This has a monetary impact of a 31% reduction in combined mortality and morbidity during the COVID-19 lockdown. For mortality itself, it was a 36% reduction, and for morbidity, it was a 28% reduction. DALI being used to estimate COI's damages revealed a reduction of morbidity damage by $64.3 million in Delhi, $38.4 million in Paris, 25.5 in Wuhan, and 15.5 in London. And the economic damages were worth $167.3 million in Delhi, 134.5 million in Wuhan, 107.6 in Paris, and 75.9 in London. So DALI also reveals how the different cities face different effects of the lockdown, insinuating that other factors may have also played a role, such as geographic location, seasonality, etc. Mortality damages were the highest for Delhi. It was worth $12.8 billion in 2019, and it was reduced by $49 billion in the 2020 lockdown. For London, their mortality damages are worth $7 billion, and it reduced by 29%. Wuhan, it was $33.5 billion with a reduction of 26% by 2020. And for Paris, it was $1.1 billion, and they had a reduction of 39%. It is really important to keep in mind that there are many potential confounding variables, such as age, life expectancy, and standard of living. So the most important aspect of this paper is considering the total morbidity and mortality damages combined versus the economic damages. So let's first take a look at London, where they had an economic damage worth $18.6 billion during this lockdown, and the prevented air pollution damage was worth $2.09 billion. For Wuhan, they had a $0.56 billion worth of damage during the lockdown, and their prevented air pollution damage was worth $0.97 billion. For Paris, they had $15.81 billion in damage. For Delhi, they had $5.36 billion in damage, and their prevented air pollution damage was $6.4 billion. So we can see that both Delhi and Wuhan faced a prevention of health issues that was worth more than their economic losses, whereas Paris and London's economic damages were greater than their reduction of health condition concerns. So through this monetary evaluation, one can better compare the gains and losses brought out from the pandemic. The authors do conclude this paper with expressing their beliefs that we can see through the reduction of pollution-related health risks in these 4 cities. It is very clear that stricter policies to protect the balance of the ecosystem should be put in place. Now we have 2 questions for you guys. Do you believe that the research presented in this paper accurately demonstrates the benefits and shortcomings of a lockdown through an economic perspective? In the conclusion, several confounding variables are mentioned. What other factors could or should they also have attempted to monetize or control when considering the overall welfare externalities posed by this lockdown?
The next question is, the authors in this paper compared the monetary burden of health risks caused by air pollution to the economic damages caused by the COVID-19 lockdowns. Using the 3 standard ways of thinking about ethical issues, can increased economic damages outweigh decreased health risks and be an argument against lockdowns?